Thermal Soundwaves. It's Thermal Soundwaves, the natural alternative to fast food radio. I am C.Truth here with you. This time around, in this session, I'm highlighting some of the creators, producers, directors, filmmakers, writers who are going to be featured in this year's Conch Shell International Film Festival. And joining us right now is director or writer Dawn Wilkinson, who is part of the DGA, has won a DGC award for Best Family TV Series. She's directed a number of hit shows like Empire, How to Get Away with Murder, All American Homecoming, Nashville, Dynasty, Greenleaf, Riverdale, Power Book, Ghost. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. It's with great pleasure that I welcome Miss Dawn Wilkinson. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Can't complain. Let's take it back to Toronto, one of my favorite cities in the world. What was it like coming up in Toronto?
I mean, it was great because Toronto has a film industry and the Toronto Film Festival. So I started to, I went to the University of Toronto, actually. And while I was a student there, one of the professors helped me get a position in the theaters as a theater rep during the Toronto Festival. So I used to introduce the films and set the volume for the mic and the projection, and actually get to hear the Q&A for lots and lots of films I wouldn't have seen, and hear filmmakers' stories about the films that they'd made and the process they went through. So I think that's one of the things that made me think I want to try to make a film. I'd been the person who shot home movies and that kind of stuff, but in terms of actually make a film, I think that's where it all of a sudden seemed like something I could actually do.
Right. Do you still have a copy of your first home movie you ever shot?
Well, is it the first? I mean, it's the first watchable one. It was shot on I'm going to totally date myself, a rented VHS video camera, you know what I'm saying? And 2 VCRs to edit. So yeah, I still have it. I still have that. Right. So film was always that's always something that was your passion, and you knew at some point you were going to do that. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I think I like to tell stories. I thought I would be a writer specifically. I like to take pictures. I like to paint pictures. I liked visuals, but it didn't all come together for me until I actually had made my first film, Dandelions. But it was, lucky to be growing up in a city or just outside of a city where, once I did get a taste for I want to try production, there were productions going on. There was equipment available. There were lots of film schools with students, and teaching is actually part-time is what I did for a decade while I, kind of launched my directing career. So I think definitely that environment led to me having opportunities and just getting a chance to see, how production works.
Right. Now, from the other side of the camera, the director's point of view, we're going to get your perspective on that. And you've done a lot of work with some of the shows that, I've enjoyed, actually, like All American Homecoming, Power Book, Ghost, and so forth. Now, on the other side of the camera, what are some of the things that a director needs to be aware of and needs to do?
Well, I think, ultimately the director is the one who is translating the script into visuals for the audience, translating the story into a visual format, which is quite different than the written word, even when it's a screenplay. And so, we direct the actors and decide on the shots and choose locations. And so even, on a film, it's very much the director's medium, and the director makes all of those decisions. On a television show, some things are established already, like, the main cast, for example, but you still have quite an important role in how to tell the story of your particular episode. That's your focus, and you're the only one who's zeroed in on telling the story of that episode. So I think it's a collaborative process, but you're the one who's figuring out what's the best way to tell this story, what's the most engaging way, what is the truest to the show, and also the characters.
Right. It's Thermal Soundwaves. C.Truth here, talking to director, filmmaker Dawn Wilkinson here with us on the program as we celebrate some of the folks and creators who are going to be in this year's Conch Shell International Film Festival. Now, you directed the original film Block Party, which is the first ever Juneteenth family comedy. And Juneteenth is a new national holiday, federal holiday in the United States. And what was the experience like doing that particular film?
Oh, that was so much fun. I mean, we shot that in Grand Rapids last September. And, the idea was to show this story, it's not like a grand historical perspective. It's like one family and, their block party for the community. And in this case, Graham Jam has got dementia and Kiki is sort of leaving her future career to come and make the block party happen because Graham Jam can't do it herself anymore. And it's really about the importance of community. And Juneteenth is the setting, is like, in a way, the backdrop for the family to come together and to celebrate each other. So it's really a feel-good type of comedy, and it really focuses on the daughter, the granddaughter, and the grandmother, the daughter, and the granddaughter, and like their relationships.
What are some of the stories or some of the things that you would like to write about or direct that you have not yet?
Oh, there's such a question. I mean, I think I'm always, I always kind of wanted to tell stories that I felt, some personal connection to, that I felt like could show, Black girls and Black women, first and foremost, in, lots of realistic or even heightened, stylized situations. And so I think there's so much I'd like to work on. I like comedy. I like drama. I like, I'm in the process actually of looking into adapting a project. And so I'm looking for exactly the right material where I can write and direct, because I've been focused primarily on directing for the last couple of years and really establishing myself as an episodic director. But because of Block Party, and even, when we go back to Devotion, I wrote and directed that movie, and I would like to write and direct again. And so I'm actually in the process of looking for that perfect material.
What are some of the things that you do when you're not directing or into film? Just some fun things that Dawn does.
Do I have any hobbies? Well, I like to go to the beach. I like to do yoga. But you know what? So much of it is movies. Like, I like to watch movies and TV shows, and that has always dominated my, spare time, because there's so much. But I think I do try to fit in a little bit of, I'm learning to play tennis. It's never too late.
No, actually, I play tennis myself. It's something that you can definitely play until, you're not able to move, pretty much. So it's a good sport to
That's it. So I'm planning for the future, so I can have a sport to play.
Absolutely. What's some of the, I guess, movies or a movie or TV show or something that is one of your favorites that you could always look to or watch and just always enjoy?
I go back to Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's movie. I saw that in the theaters when it was released. It had a huge impact on me in terms of the just like seeing his story, his community, his neighborhood, and then in that very cinematic visual style, So I feel like that is definitely one of those films that just shook me and made me want to see more and to make films and to understand like how films are made. And another one that was, I think, around that time, maybe a little bit earlier, Julie Dash's Daughters of the Dust was another movie that probably my love of the beach film. There's some really beautiful visuals. So those two movies were really significant for me, seeing those.
Absolutely. Most definitely classics on that list right there. What's on your current docket right now that you're working on?
I'm actually about to do 2 episodes of a show. Well, first of all, I just finished Ghost Power Book 2, so that episode will air sometime in the fall. I think it's episode 8 that I directed for season 3. And then I'm about to do 2 episodes of a show called Orphan Black Echoes, which is going to be on AMC, and it's a sort of a spin-off from the original Orphan Black show. And after that, I'll do an episode of Bel Air and an episode of All American. So that's my fall, essentially. Nice work coming up. So everybody check out and look for Dawn Wilkinson and check for her stuff that she's done already. A great resume, or CV as they say overseas. How do you feel about being involved in the Conch Shell International Film Festival? Oh, I'm really excited about the Conch Shell Festival. We had a screening of my short film Instant Dread in June, I believe, and it was just kind of a taste of what will happen at the festival. And Devotion is a film that, as I said, I wrote and directed it, and it's like fictional based on some, personal childhood stuff, because Alice is like this biracial girl who lives in, her dad takes her to this new community. It's predominantly white. She doesn't fit in, and it's sort of like how she comes to terms with losing her mom and her father, like moving on with his life and getting a girlfriend that she just doesn't relate to. So I feel like I just can't wait to show the film again. It's quite dear to my heart, and I made it. Really, it was a labor of love. I think I had like a little arts council grant, but a lot of people donated their time and their energy, and their locations and everything. And it was that film where like I wore all the hats. I learned all the aspects of filmmaking on that movie, and I'm just really happy to get a chance to share it again, and with the community of filmmakers and the audience at Conch Shell. So I'm looking forward to it, and then we'll have an artist talk after. And so I get to talk more about making that film.
Definitely looking forward to that. And make sure, everybody, that you get your passes. Right now, go to conchshelliff.com to get your passes for this year's festival. And you'll see wonderful people like Dawn Wilkinson in the festival. And you can definitely talk to them, as she says, after the screenings and so forth. And you can get like, a bird's eye view and an inside track on what it was that they are trying to achieve or accomplish, or if you have specific questions about characters and whatever it is, that you can definitely get that upside right there in the festival. What are some of the things you want to see done within the industry in general that you would just like to see some changes or just anything at all?
Yeah, I'm happy to say that I've been in the process of seeing these changes, seeing more films and television series that include Black stories and voices and, ways that are, not stereotypical. And I feel like there's definitely a move to, include our perspectives more than ever before. I think it's just a matter now of like, even at the level of like the executives and the networks to like even be more, let's say, brave in taking on work that's maybe, a little unconventional. I've always felt like there was a tendency towards, and for lots of good reasons, natural, like let's say realistic or reality-based, like even true stories, when it comes to the Black experience. And as much as I love that aspect of storytelling, I also think, speculative storytelling, fantasy, sci-fi, really, even if it's really fictional, like truly fictional storytelling that's like inventing worlds, imagining worlds, and still having the, Black characters be central to it. That's something that I'd like to see even more of.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that there. Dawn Wilkinson talking with us here on Thermal Soundwaves. And let everybody know, like, if you have a website or social media where they could see your work and more of your story.
Well, my website is under construction, so I would say find me on Instagram at Director Dawn. I'm there.
And what do you have to say to those who are like trying to do something similar to what you're doing, walking your shoes, or in particular like your young ladies who may be wanting to be directors or writers or get into the film world? What would you say to them?
I would say that if you can, tell a story that you care about a lot, something that's personal to you, something that you know something about, something that your perspective is like no one else's. I think that's the most that we have to offer, especially now when there is so much to watch and there is, let's say the equipment, if you were to make something on your phone, is more available than it's ever been. But I think what we need is the voice, the unique perspective on something. And so the more personal it is to you, or the more passionate you are about it, and the more specific it is to your taste and your ideas, the better. So I think there's always like a tendency to think, oh, this is what's happening, I should do that. Like I see someone makes a certain kind of documentary, maybe I should do something just like they've done. And I think, resist that temptation. Not that you can't learn from other people's work, you can, but when you're making the thing that you want to use to help introduce yourself to the industry, I think it should be something that you're most passionate about and that no one could have made except for you.
We're going to end it on this here. Since I am a lover of food, give me some good restaurants to check out in Toronto. There are so many, but I just want to get your recommendations.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I've been living in LA for the past 4 years. The pandemic has shut down some of my favorite places, but I would say go to The Real Jerk. It's a Jamaican Canadian restaurant, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Okay, and what about LA?
Well, I'm a vegetarian, so I like I like the Sun Cafe.
Okay, is that downtown LA? Whereabouts is that?
The Sun Cafe is in, I think, Universal City.
Well, definitely, I thank you for taking some time out with us here on the program, Thermal Soundwaves, to talk about your story and some things that you're doing and working on and continuing to just move the board and be successful, and also joining us in this year's Conch Shell International Film Festival. Thank you very much. Make sure you'll look out. Once again, Dawn Wilkinson at Director Dawn is her IG. You can get her there. And once again, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And Sat Down Jamaican Grill.
We'll add that to the list.
Yeah, definitely. Don't miss Sat Down.
All right. You have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
It's Thermal Soundwaves, the natural alternative to fast food radio. I am C.Truth here with you, doing a special on this session and this round on some of the producers, writers, filmmakers, and creators that will be in this year's Conch Shell International Film Festival. Make sure you get your passes, available right now, or for more information, go to conchshelliff.com. That's conchshelliff.com for more information on the festival going down. It's C.Truth Thermal Soundwaves. Make sure you check us out at thermalsoundwaves.com. Go to the podcast section, listen and subscribe via a platform of your choosing for more conversations and interesting people just like we've had on right now. See you next time. Thermal Soundwave.